One, two, one, two. It's your host with the most from coast to coast, giving you coolness, hotness, and everything you want in this. And ladies and gentlemen, if that ain't enough to flip your lid, as always, I've got the pink slip daddy. So, hey, I had this thought this morning as I was kind of lounging around the house and watching the Oregon rain just pour down. I was thinking about how people have reacted historically in oppressive regimes such as the Soviet Union, still Russia now, North Korea, places of that nature where you have an oppressive regime and you have an oppressive dictator. People get what's called the Stockholm Syndrome, I do believe. The Stockholm Syndrome is something where captees of the kidnapper eventually start to love and admire their kidnapper like a demagogue, and just enjoy any little breadcrumbs are thrown out to them. Trump supporters are very susceptible, and I believe this way too. Because now that they're wrapped up in Trump like they are, he could take them just about down any rabbit hole possible, and they're not going to, they're not going to sway, and they're just there to get the little crumbs that Big Daddy will throw out to them. And it's really sad because people really, I wish people would empower themselves and at least know inside that, nobody has, that no other human being is above doing the right thing. Okay. And you look at oppressive dictators like in North Korea and, how Russia is and was, where they'll put out a propaganda videos making it look like it's a great place, and that the few little people, the society that got thrown a breadcrumb, how happy they are and whatnot. When in reality, anybody with half a brain knows that, everybody pretty much is that's average or below is starving to death and is under the fear of saying the wrong thing, and things of that nature. And so they get to the point where they just, get in this ignorant, happy bliss, and anything they're told, they buy into or believe. And that seems to be the case with a lot of Trump supporters. And I've noticed that Republicans historically have been kind of susceptible to that. They believe in somebody getting up there and talking bold, and, well, we've got to protect our nation from immigrants and people that are coming over to take the nation from us, and other, faiths and religions and stuff like that. Um, like religion is not really allowed in any other country unless it's the state ran type of religion. Like the unofficial one here is a white fundamentalist Christianity. People get stuck into a demagogue, and then that transfers over, and they want to live that in their normal lives when they get out of church. They want somebody to tell them how it is and act like a strong man about it, and have us against them kind of mentality tones, right? Divide and conquer. And a lot of that, and mostly that's done by mind games. And I've seen this throughout the years in communist countries. I've, witnessed what people do, and, people will think sometimes they don't really understand. Oh, maybe it's not so bad over there. Maybe Putin's a great guy. You know, you really lose perspective when you try to justify that, and that's a strong leader, when somebody like Vladimir Putin, just like Kim Jong Il, are, they're murderous, barbarous, butcherous dictators who will not hesitate to have the throat slit of anybody that disagrees with them. That's just how it is. And they rob and pillage and plunder their nation and leave everybody with nothing while they have everything. Vladimir Putin is, I've been doing a little research and can't confirm it and things like that, but Vladimir Putin, to me, I think is the most wealthy man on the planet. Okay, I think he's worth something like close to $500 billion when you consider everything that he controls and all the oil rights and everything that he set up for himself, while completely depleting and fucking the rest of the people over of Russia. And you just wonder sometimes too that if there's ever going to come a day where people of Russia get pissed and decide to really go after Putin and take him out, let the by some nasty means, just like what happened in history to, Marie Antoinette, what happened to the Tsar of Russia. The Tsar and his whole family, the citizens ended up eventually killing them before the 1917 revolution, where that put another dictatorist regime in charge, Lenin, and then eventually Stalin, and all the way up to today with Putin. So, people sometimes aren't even smart in that regard with the people they replace a dictator with. Cuba, the same thing with Castro's revolution in the late 50s. He came in there and toppled a fucking demagogic kind of a corporate society there, and really, he became a dictator himself and kept an oppressive regime, kept state-ran media, state-ran everything with control over it. See, in the optimal society, like Scandinavia has, it's kind of like a corporate socialist mix where, yeah, the government and the state helps everybody out with things, but they're not in their business as far as law-wise and legislating what they do in every aspect of their lives. Okay, they help out with healthcare and what should now be, I think that, a universal economic system, because as we go down the road, jobs are going to be wiped out just because of technology coming in. We know that, so there has to be a universal base income, just logically wise, to make up for, the overwhelming percentage of jobs that are going to be lost, right? And it's not going to leave a lot of automated jobs to do and a lot of things of that nature. So there needs to be an economic system in place to where people can feel free to do what they want, get their act together, whatever, go to school, study this, study that, contribute in whatever way they eventually can, and that's just how it needs to be. And people need to quit with this mentality. Republicans get it a lot, and communist countries peddle it out too, like it's somebody being a freeloader or, whatever, because they don't want people to experience personal freedom and things of that nature. So this fear tactics like, oh, we're going to just give away money and things like that. Well, why the hell not? I mean, these people like Trump's plundering our country, all the business deals he's got from other nations and whatever little ways we can't even imagine, he's ripping off the country, while most people listening to what I'm saying or ever that will ever hear this, they have struggles to get by at the very least at times. So, and especially besides the big corporate shills that love Trump, most of the people that love Trump are really not very well off financially. They're usually poor white people from trailer parks or, just barely making it, that never vote for their own interest, right? Because their own interest is not usually some guy that wants to be a demagogue. It's not usually some guy that's quite that corrupt, quite that just in it for himself and involved in a crime family and things of that nature, like Trump obviously is. If what we see on the outside is Trump's best, then, this motherfucker is shadier than fucking Al Capone or the Gambino family. You know what I mean? That's just obvious, but people like an asshole and they just love it, as long as Big Daddy throws them a breadcrumb here or there, flicks a seed of food out to them, they love it, it's just, oh my God, Trump, Donald Trump, and it really, they'll worship any idiot that acts like an asshole and that has an authoritarian presence about him and just talks to people like, oh, it's you and us, it's us against them. It's, these people are coming and taking your jobs. These people are spreading crime and drugs and hate and all this shit. We got to really take care of them over there, and lumping one group in together, whether it's a minority race, whether it's immigrants, whether it's a certain other religion besides Christianity, whether it's this or that, they're out to get you and yours instead of, hey, you can coexist with people even if you have other beliefs. No, they don't ever preach that kind of thing. Right? They're demagogues who they feed off their ego feeds off of it too. They need that. They need that for themselves. And the thing is, hey, you can't put it on them. There's plenty, unfortunately, especially even here in the good old USA, USA, There's never a shortage of people to oblige in that. Never. You know, it's like a cult thing. It's just like Jim Jones, you know, talking all those people into committing suicide and, you know, things of that nature. And it never ends. People, you know, hey, the world's going to end on a certain date and I'm going to give everything away because it is. I really thought it was. You know, it's crazy. But this is what demagogues can talk people into believing. You know, they're the Stockholm Syndrome. Hey, I know what's best for you. I know what you should think. I know what you should do. You know, I know what you should think about these people, that people, and, you know, I know what's best. And what happens is eventually, what's scary is eventually these people get enough power to where they can slowly change things, well, quicker than you think, but slowly change things to where, you know, they can legislate and go after you for having different opinions or different thoughts. You know, it's crazy. And in the USA, it can be done to you in such fucking slight ways and a multitude of them that, you know, pick your poison. Um, it's just crazy because we've got a large battle against us. And then we have people of our own nation that think that way. It's just like in Nazi Germany, a third of the people, right off the bat, a third of the people bought into Hitler's bullshit. And bought into that the Jews were evil and bought into this was evil, that was evil, anything besides the white Aryan race, you know, tall, blonde hair, blue eyed, and, you know, white, was the superior race, you know, and people will eventually start buying into that. I don't know what the fuck Hitler was talking about. The guy was about 5'2" and fucking, you know, not very physically fit at all. And really just must have hated himself like, you know, like Trump does. You know, Trump does not like himself. Trump needs that ego boost all the time. He needs to have his ego fed. You know, and I think everybody that's going to ever listen to this knows all this shit, right? But I'm just, you know, the way that it comes about is, and I really can't, the way I can't explain it because some people are not susceptible to that kind of shit very easily. You know, they just don't, they're turned off by somebody who's like that, and they should be, you know, and some people, you don't even have to kidnap them and they just fall right in line with this kind of crap. But imagine, if you will, living under an oppressive regime where it was illegal to think or say anything bad about the government or leaders like that, right? Eventually, you know, it's pretty scary. They hurt one of your family members, threaten to hurt one of your family members. And you know, eventually smile and go along with it because you're scared out of fear. That's how it's done. That's how the later stages of this shit are done. You know, as far as Trump go, you know, somebody like Trump goes, if he had the power to do it, he would love it. And if he could do it, he wouldn't hesitate to do it in a second. And that's not a fear statement I'm putting out there. That's just true. Look at him. Of course he would love it. He'd be on cloud fucking 19. There's no question about it, you know. And so, but in a free society, so-called, like we are, which we're really not, unless you're white, upper middle class, and well-connected, and a male, then, you know, it's like that. But you know, people here, the majority of people here, and it sure doesn't show in voting and things like that a lot of the time, but I got to think the majority of people here, even if they don't realize it, they don't think that way. They you know, they don't like somebody that's like a guru or a dictator. You know, they like to do some thinking for themselves, but we got a large majority, not majority, but a large, well, majority of white people still, unfortunately, but a large portion of our country, especially in the South and in parts of the Midwest, that really, it's ingrained into them like a religion, like a way of life to like that kind of a thing, a demagogue, somebody who's anti-abortion, somebody who's really strong. And they're fed this line of bullshit when these people would have their kids have an abortion in a fucking second, you know, that it's God, guns in America, you know, and that's all, and the freedom and everything, and standing up for that. And that shit is such a fucking illusion. Okay, if you took one goddamn honest look at the way people live in our country and the way people are treated in our country, especially those that aren't white, how could you even think that for a second and want to worship that fucking flag, for instance, or buy into these, so-called ideals that really never were. Okay. Or these skewed ideals which really perpetuate hate and division, like not associating with anybody who's not your particular faith of Christianity. You're not associating with somebody who's LGBTQ, or not associating with somebody of another race, or not associating with this or that, or it's just, where does it end? It's crazy. People, and it's taught that, and they love it because it makes them feel like they're above everything, that they're part of something that's right, and they're part of something that's above everybody else. It's just the proof's in the pudding. I mean, if you look at it honestly, this isn't opinion or conjecture. I mean, it's just really scientifically how it is. I mean, it's time and time and time again, people have shown themselves to be that way. As and America really so too in the polls. People supposedly have freedom, but yet history shows they continuously vote for people that are fucking totally about power and about keeping the elites in power, old white people in power. They keep voting for that time and time again. They don't like somebody who's just cool and chill. They like somebody who's an authoritative asshole. Okay, they do, and it keeps getting worse as we go down the line from Reagan to Bush Sr. to Bush Jr. Jesus, I mean, Bush Jr. looks like a goddamn golden saint almost compared to Trump, but you see how much it jumps. I mean, in this next jump, these people could be totally cool with a full-on dictator. They would, just like, if Trump wasn't in there, they would totally suck Mike Pence's nuts off. Another crazy psycho who probably, I'm just going to say this, he probably, if he didn't fucking ever mess around with his kids in some perverted way, at the very least, I can't imagine the creepiness of growing up with that guy as your father, telling you how much the Lord loved you and then beating your fucking ass with a belt because it was the right thing to do. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Give me a fucking break. It's just sickening. I just, creepy. Okay, so the Trump gives that extra excitement to him, like, knock that guy out, and just shit like that. And I can't believe I don't know. It's like on Godsmack. I can't believe that, all because this proves how deep racism is in our country. After Obama, they were so resentful that people just wanted they wanted a dictator. They wanted they wanted to go back to this nice way of thinking where they could still be, where they could be, they wanted to feel comfortable being racist, and they wanted to be comfortable to be able to speak out in how they feel about other minorities that aren't their pale pigmentation. You know what I mean? They're just, basically a lot of these Trump supporters are racist just for kicks now. Watch them kick it like it's 1956 now. They love it, and I just don't. For me, I don't get it at all. I mean, I know it's there, but I don't get it. The amount of racism, when you think about it, history will show that was shown to Barack Obama is crazy. It's just fucking crazy that people can't get past that. All, no matter what he did, oh well, he's just a black guy, and now they're not afraid to say it. They know, but Donald Trump is a very disgusting fucking human being. But he knows how to, he knows, and he's got to laugh at this. He's got to love it. And almost you can't hardly blame the psycho and to think, gee, how easy this is. It's so easy. Sometimes I'm ashamed of myself how easy it is to manipulate people. But you gotta, the thing about it is, then you stop and think for a while in a moment, right? You think, God, these people really, if I was an asshole, I could really I could get all these people to really like me and be under my thumb. But the thing about it is it's hard, if you're not that way naturally, you can't be that way because you have to, like somebody like me, I don't want people to I want people to like me, yeah, but I don't want people to think that I'm anybody above them or that I'm a God type figure. And how ridiculous. But Trump loves that, and he's all too eager to oblige and act that way to get people, more and more people, to just stay with him no matter what. Follow him down a rabbit hole into hell, blindly loyal. And that's what people do. And it's just amazing in the U.S. that so many people are so weak that they've done it just by mind tactics. They weren't forced into doing it by being kidnapped or living in Cold War Moscow or living in Pyongyang or places like that, or kidnapped, or held as a war prisoner. They just have done this shit naturally. And that's what I mean. It's so easy. Trump must find it so easy and funny in a sick way to do, because he's just had to say the words. He's just had to say the fucking words, and these people were ready to eat breadcrumbs and fucking bird seeds out of his hand and not have any running water in their own homes. But it's all good, because I can still be a bigot and worship my guy who's going to save us and make us great and do all that and make us great again. And when we never were, never were, unless you were, of course, an upper middle class white person with the right connections. So most of these white people even got to realize themselves they were never going to be given anything. They were never going to be given anything, not even a fucking dollar in food. They wouldn't get a fucking food stamp if Trump had his way. And I mean, like $1 in food stamps, literally, like one of those old bills of food stamps, not like an ABD card, crumbled up and thrown at them. They would have never even got that, except for they would have been allowed, though, they'd still be allowed to be, nationalist and bigoted and racist and, anti-Semitic and homophobic and fundamentalist and homosexual and crazy sexual and, every kind of thing there is, and have that paranoia kept alive. And it gives people, and get in other people's businesses. They really do. Kenny Jackson said it best one time. They really need to mind their own fucking business. They do, but these people like to get in people's business. They like to be in your bedroom. They like to know what you're drinking, what you're smoking, who you're screwing, what you believe, who do you believe in God, this, that, everything under the fucking sun. Do as I think, do as I want you to think and do, but not as I do. So it's just crazy that he's been able to manipulate this. But it's not surprising, because I used to have a saying years ago, and I've had this saying since I was in high school in the early 90s, that nobody ever accused the American public of being intelligent. And it's true. They haven't. I mean, or they shouldn't be. I mean, Jesus Christ. Look, look what we've done. We've always voted against our own fucking interest. Okay, especially, like in the political world. Oh no, we could never have a liberal Democratic House and Senate and a president once at the same fucking time. Oh no. Oh, the whole country would just go to hell if we took care of our people. Oh my God. Can you believe it? And people that think that go out and vote. That's the one thing I will give these idiots, is they will stick together, like I said, like rats with lice. And a lot of them have head lice too. I'm just saying, the South is I wouldn't go into a lot of places in the South. In fact, I won't go to any red state while Trump's in office. But people, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. People, I don't know. They just love it. And I know why and how. So I wouldn't even listen to somebody trying to explain it to me, because I probably understand it as good. I'm sure as good as they do. I won't say better. But it puzzles me still at the same time. It puzzles me. It puzzles me because it's an aggressive mentality of anybody that thinks different than they do. And they ought to just be in love with their country and in love with that flag and in love with, piece of cloth, in love with it. I mean, and in love with the national anthem, and get all misty-eyed when it plays, even though they don't know the goddamn lyrics to it. Trump's not the only dipshit of that persuasion that, doesn't know the words to the national anthem. A lot of people don't. And it's disgusting to watch people blindly just, sing it somewhere, and we've all seen it. and they don't know the words, whether it's at on TV or at a local football game or high school game you go to, any kind of, thing, anything in America, which, if you were going to really, and I don't believe in being a society that worships a flag or honors a flag, but if you were really going to honor something like that, would you play it out by doing it every single fucking event on every level you could ever dream to think of? Or would you just have it for special events, like the championship game, or I don't know, some big fucking game, right? Wouldn't you do it for that if you were going to do that, right? So it doesn't make sense on a couple fronts. Like, if you were going to worship a guru, wouldn't you pick somebody better than Trump? But that's just the thing, is people that think on that low level will pick somebody like that because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Just like propaganda doesn't make any fucking sense, right? It doesn't make any sense to people that think outside of themselves and think logically, and and not fueled by hate and paranoia. But the national anthem really is ridiculous. The whole idea, supposedly, in my opinion, the whole idea of a free society, which America was supposed to have been thought, that's a whole joke. But the whole fucking idea, though, is to not be like these other countries and not worship a flag or an ideal. That's, to me, the whole fucking point, is not to have it rammed down your throat anywhere you're at. If you love it, do it in your own home, your own house, whatever. Have a flag outside your house, fine. But that's the extent of it, to show your own individual, on your own time, appreciation for this shit. Not to have it rammed down your fucking throat everywhere. And then, so what that creates is that you're just mindlessly doing it. You're just mindlessly doing it, right? Because it's right. You don't even really know what you're doing or singing or saying, one nation under God. You know what? That under God, first of all, the Pledge of Allegiance is ridiculous. That's something a communist country would do, but they didn't put that under God part in there from 1954. That never should have been in there. This is the thing, that pledge should have never been created. That under God should have never been put in there. See, I'm going in steps. It's really kind of, if it were a logical world, it's really kind of a moot point, because it shouldn't have even been in existence in the first fucking place, right? And then it's just all fucked up, and these people make no fucking sense. These people just make no fucking sense at all. Christian type of fundamentalist people that buy into the Republican ideology, and especially Trump as a guru, they don't make any sense, because they'll curtail their thoughts to whatever he thinks or believes or what should be done for the right reason, right? So they'll judge anybody else that does any fucking thing and condemn them for reasons that don't have anything to really do with what they're doing. It could be because they're not a religious Christian, or they're not a minority, or, they are a minority, they're not white like them. It could be for any of those other reasons. But they play it off like that person's somebody amoral or sinful or not a true human being, because they don't believe and worship your fucking murderous God, or they don't go along with what you believe politically, or they may like a different gender sexually than you think they're supposed to like, right? Those people, anything that they do in their lives that don't relate to that even, must be influenced by the fact that they're that way, that they're being judged on, if that makes any sense. But somebody like Trump, though there'd be any shit he could reason away. It doesn't matter. Really, it's not a joke. He could reason away. There are a lot of supporters that he could reason away pedophilia to, that, he was molested, come out and or that, he was in a bad, he could even tell these fucking people something really idiotic, like, I was in a weak moment in my life, and I touched my daughter one time, or, really, he could reason fucking that away. And if, whereas if they found out if they found out Obama got laid in high school, oh my God, he had pre-sexual marriage, and he was just a philanderer and all this bullshit off of that, right? And yet anything that their demagogue, guru, pastor, leader, president, whatever, does, it can be justified away, and there's nothing that they can do wrong, right? They don't want to hear it, and if they have to hear it, it's reasoned away. And so this is the kind of mentality we're dealing with, and we can't change it except for to stay united ourselves and You know, I hate saying this, it sounds so cliche, but vote, right? Vote. If you hate both people, guess what? Vote for the person who has plans that are in line with you. And think about, or not in line with you, but in line what's going to help you and people around you. Okay, you got to first of all think above and beyond yourself in this particular matter, and then think about yourself too, but not in a, you know, I don't know why. I just say this because it helps me to talk. I don't, anybody that would like me or likes what I say would, you know, may have some disagreements, but fundamentally we'd agree on most shit about things, right? And so anybody that doesn't agree with me, they're not going to agree with me on what I have to say. They're going to hate me, or they're going to just think I'm full of shit or whatever. How dare I talk about their fear like that? You know, or their God about that. It's just like with God, the one thing that you can say for certain about the Christianity God, if you were to believe that that existed, you know, the one thing you can say through history about that entity is that it is a very jealous, vindictive, murdering God. The things that he's let happen on earth and to people around earth, you know, you'd have to conclude that he's a murderer and vicious, but oh no. He has a, you know, the explanation away is that he has a reason for everything and we don't understand, and it's a bigger picture than that. And, well, fuck, I mean, we would never even have gotten out of the fucking cave if really the majority of people were to continue to think or would have always thought that way, or we won't go any further if we continue to think that way. You know, I mean, you have to look at everything, and you have to, you know, you have to realize that every human being is mortal, and this God that they don't know for 100% fact exists. You know, really, you can't. It's very ignorant just chalk it up to, well, I don't really know. God has his reasons for things, and I'm going to find out when I pass away and go to the pearly gates. How, you know, up into the clouds, I'm going to go into clouds. I mean, how ignorant of a thought is that? Really? I mean, think about that logically. And, you know, think about, well, the Bible says this, the Bible says that. The Bible is a multi-thousand-year-old document. Let's say the motherfucker was written in complete truth for a second, humor people. Let's say it was. Well, guess what? All the different language translations, the updating of even modern languages in most places, people's translations and interpretations. How in the hell could any document survive all that shit and still be intact with truthful stories? There's not, think about it, people, there's no fucking way. It's not like this thing was hidden and buried somewhere and, oh, we just found it now, and look at all the shit they're saying in there. And then even then, the translations to get it right, which it's not been. It's been out in the public. People have had their own translations of it and shit like that. Whereas it's funny because if you were to really believe all the stories in the Bible that you read, and who knows, it could be true. You know, but if you were to believe it all and you were a logical person, you would, these stories sound like fairy tales and fiction if you read them through the lens of a Christian or somebody who's been brought up to just worship a guru. They would sound like a guy in the clouds, a fairy tale, instead of shit like stories like Sodom and Gomorrah and shit, right? God yelling down and giving his wrath to the society that was corrupt. Well, when you think about it, if you're really to believe that story, it sounds a lot more like a high-tech society having a new ancient nuclear war, is what it sounds like. Okay? The wise men going to Israel, following the star. Well, that sounds more like a spacecraft or something guiding them. The book of Elijah, same thing. It sounds more like a extraterrestrial helping him. Now, keep in mind, this is if all you believe in all these fucking stories, right? But no, people would rather believe that because they're also trained not to think that there could be life from other planets that maybe have helped us along the way at some point, or that they're out there, because that would blow their little mind to have to realize, okay, that there's life out there. It's just, I don't know what it is. It would seem almost like it go along with their dogma, but it don't, because it requires an open mind, and that would make them think that, oh no, God doesn't oh, they're trying to say God don't exist or something of that nature. You know, when they actually belittle their own God by thinking there couldn't be something above life ultimately, and that his only dance was creating Earth. There's nothing else out there. But these stories in the Bible, they'd rather believe that people had magical powers back in these fucking Stone Age times, and you know, this was done and that was done, and instead of looking at it logically, like, okay, if that's a true story, then that's got to be an extraterrestrial presence, or you know, or a bunch of bullshit. Okay, either one of the two of those, not somebody like Merlin the magician or some, you know, whatever they want to glamorize it out to be, you know, their own hit Harry Potter, yet not demonic, because Harry Potter or anything else that could make crystals, anything that could make religious folk have to think outside of the box is satanistic. Anything that doesn't, that's another, you know, mind control too, with just, oh, that's Satan, that's evil. You know, anything that I don't know anything about or that I'm not used to is evil. And that's kind of what it does. It dumbs you down, kind of like a dictator does. If it comes from Big Daddy's mouth, it's true. I'm not going to change my opinions no matter what the proof or logic is, unless Big Daddy changes his opinion, and I'll change my opinion and justify it in some lame way to fall right in line with changing my opinion. You know, one thing Trump has shown is that these people can change their opinion. Yes, they can change their opinion if a dictator like Trump changes the way he would think on something. I guarantee it. 90% of them would, like clockwork, just like good puppets. But yeah, I titled this Trump supporters have such Stockholm Syndrome. Well, I should have said they're susceptible to it, the Stockholm Syndrome, because, you know, that would have probably sounded better. But they do have it. Even the most casual Trump supporter has it in some regard, because if they don't, it means that they're completely just fucking unaware idiots that like the few things Trump said, and they're not paying attention really at all. Okay, and if anybody knows anything about Trump that still likes him, I'm sorry. I'm going to label you. You are a racist. You are a nationalist. You are a separationist. There's just no question about it. Okay, I mean, you know, fuck, man. If the shoe fits, you know, I mean, Christ. If the shoe fits, you know, hey, put it on, I guess. But birds of a feather flock together. It's just true. I mean, and it also shows too that, worse yet, if they are not racist, which they are, they're very unaware, and that's another big problem in our country. Really is unawareness and not wanting to know. But I think the people that are unaware like that, there's you tickle a nerve with them when you start asking them or start explaining to them, well, what about this? What about the oppression that's done to minorities since this country was incepted? What's been done to people that are of other sexual persuasions, or people that are just a little bit different? What's been done that don't worship your demagogue or God? What's been done to people like that since the inception of our nation? But yet these people just want to believe in guns, God, and that, you know, a piece of cloth. Okay. The American flag to me is nothing but a fucking symbol. Yeah, if you were to take flags all over the country, all over the world, I think our flag is the most beautiful in the world, but that's just it. It ends it there. It has nothing to do with the fucking country. It's that fucking piece. If I'm judging cloth, if I'm in a cloth, yeah, I love the American flag if I'm in a cloth judging competition. Hey, man, hey, I like that color combination, and that's about as fucking far as it fucking goes, man. I would never hang one from my house. I would never fucking salute that motherfucker. You know, it just, because it's to me, it goes against the ideals of what I feel and what we were supposed to be. We're supposed to be all together yet individuals, okay? And all together means completely you want to be there and do that, not that you're brainlessly goaded and guided into it, okay? You know, and individualism. As long as you're not fucking hurting anybody else or fucking with anybody else, it's cool. You know, it's just, you know, a free society. People stay the fuck out of your business. unless you're harassing their family or bothering them or hurting somebody elderly or a kid or an unwilling person, there's no reason to fuck with anybody. You know, it's none of your it's none of your motherfucking business what they believe, what they do to themselves via whatever means, drugs, physically to them their own selves. It's none of your fucking business, man. It's none of your business what they think and who they sleep with and who they screw, right? And who they want to live their lives with and what they want to feel inside without pushing them fucking selves onto you. It's none of your motherfucking business, man. Until somebody gets up in your aura or grill, it's really none of your fucking business. And what is it that's bothering you that makes you want to judge or hate them? You know, life is too fucking short for all that bullshit nonsense. You know, I don't feel, well, there is one exception. I feel that way towards people who feel that way. Yeah, so, you know, it kind of, hey, right back at you, motherfucker. But I'm going to quit. I'm just kind of ranting on here, and I just needed to get that off my chest. And I probably exuberated all my energy for today by doing this. I'm still recovering and trying to get better. Drinking a fruit smoothie and watching endlessly pour down rain here on the Oregon coast in the Pacific Northwest, where we think a little bit clearer than most of the country out here. You know, we have our moments, but the majority of us think a little bit clearer than the Midwest and South and, you know, big concrete urban areas in the East Coast, where New York City, people are crammed into apartments for $2,000 a month with one bedroom and, you know, way up the high in the sky. I can't understand why people who have a choice would ever want to live that way. But, you know, buildings so tall you can't even see the sky. Yeah, but, you know, that's okay. I understand that. In fact, that's cool, because I really don't want people to all start moving out here. I wouldn't mind a few cool ones, but yeah, I guess we all have our role to play. But I just wanted to tell everybody much love. Give a shout out to Kenny Jackson, Opinion But Facts channel, the mothership channel, for What's Your Opinion But Facts. Give a shout out to Miss D. Give a shout out to Oak. Give a shout out to Sam T. Walden of the LDBC, bottom line. Give a shout out to we have a page on Twitter, What's Your Opinion Show page on Twitter. We also have one on Facebook, Instagram, all the usual places. Of course, yours truly, Rocken Larry Locken. I do have a couple other channels I've been non-active on for a long time. Palladian Light Grid Project, which is my experimental channel where I experiment with shit, and then Palladian Express Productions, where I talk about enlightenment, extraterrestrials, and, you know, all that good shit, and non-guru type of power. Don't get it confused. Yeah, the term new, you know, I don't really like what you call New Agers, because there's always a guru involved, and a lot of these fools like Trump, it's really the damnedest thing I've ever seen. But so you can find me there, and those will have pages and shit on Facebook and whatnot. And my email is lockenlarry, my name backwards, @gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook, send me a friend request. You know, that's about all I got to say. And thank you to the 1 or 2 people that will ever hear this. Much love and a big cosmic dating game kiss. And by the way, don't let the bastards drag you down.